Hello and welcome to Patron Saints of Pop Culture Podcast. As always, I am your co-saint, Miguel Covarrubias.
And I'm Kathy Covarrubias. And today, let's talk about Deadpool 2.
The family movie that is not family friendly.
Yeah, exactly. This is still a Deadpool movie that you don't take your kids to.
Exactly.
Surprise, surprise.
So, spoiler alert, if you have not yet seen the movie, it is now out on digital streaming. Not anywhere that you can actually stream it, but you can purchase it now and watch it.
Yep.
So, our summary and review. I would say that, let's see, summary would be Deadpool makes fun of Logan and then tries to save a kid to be just like Logan. Or make fun of him. I don't know.
So my summary, Deadpool experiences heartache and is lost and doesn't know what to do with himself. And so he's trying to find his purpose in life again after the heartache. Then he meets a kid and he decides, hey, I'm going to make that kid better. And he does.
Okay.
Right? That's the movie.
That's the movie. I enjoyed Deadpool 2 about as much as I enjoyed, well, maybe not as much as Deadpool 1, but I did enjoy Deadpool 2. I would still give it a blessing. I was not something that, is going to break any genre anything. But it was good, and that's about as best I can say for it. Is that whereas the first one broke the R rating wall for superhero movies,
and just was overall shocking.
Yeah, shocking in how it was enjoyable and still like extremely violent and Whereas
graphic.
This one was just kind of more of that, but more.
I would almost say it's a toned down version of Deadpool 1.
A little bit, yes.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't nearly... there wasn't as much blood. There wasn't nearly as much sex. So, yeah. Right? There wasn't that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it. Oh, sorry. Were you done?
Yes, I was.
Okay, Sorry. Let me just take over your review for you.
I already gave it the blessing, so...
Okay. I, too, enjoyed it as well. I would probably... to be honest, though, I'll probably never watch it again. just being honest. And it's not that I didn't like it. I enjoyed Deadpool, the first Deadpool, more, and I'll probably rewatch the first Deadpool before I watch Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe in a marathon when Deadpool 3 is coming out and our son is not home or something.
Yeah, or when he's taking a nap.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. It's definitely in the top half of all superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right. So there was a line that I wanted to speak on, and this is probably going to be on the same lines as our Ant-Man and the Wasp podcast, where it was pretty short because there wasn't really anything that was... You really weren't treading any new water, as it were.
Yeah.
There was not any new ground broken or anything else like this. And I really want to talk about specifically in the superhero genre with what it's been recently. I just discovered this weekend because for those of you who know that I did one review podcast, and I was inspired to do so because I really disliked the movie of Ready Player One. So I saw a video on YouTube for Ready Player One and how it could have been a better movie. And so I thought, oh, hey, I did one of those things. Let me see what this guy has to say. So I found a series of videos called Just Right. And I just was absolutely kind of blown away by his take on the themes and concepts of a lot of writing in movies and pop culture.
We should say it's just right, like WRIT.
Yes.
Yes.
Not just right as in R-I-G-H-T.
Exactly. Or R-A-T-E.
Yes. But he did a video on Thanos. And so when he was doing, like, he talked about this video, or he talked in this video about how Thanos is kind of this idea of a father figure. And so he goes back and talks about how the MCU has all been about father figures and new family.
Uh-huh.
And so we see this kind of playing out in the superhero genre, as well as specifically here in Deadpool 2. We see this, well, specifically because he's calling out Logan. And Logan, I don't know if you guys want to roll back to our Logan episode. We did talk a little bit about this. We talked about being a father and some of this other stuff in that episode. But, I mean, Logan is... That entire movie is trying to do this whole kind of do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
And, like, coming to terms with his own past and being violent and being just, you know, Logan and Wolverine. And so
Hugh
Deadpool,
Jackman.
yeah, Deadpool is kind of like right off the bat starts it out with this music box of Logan, you know, being impaled on the tree there.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, that last scene of Logan, you know, he's kind of cursing out Logan and Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. And the entire movie is kind of along the same lines of don't do as do as I say, not as I do kind of thing, for him being kind of this now reluctant father figure for, I can't even remember what his name is. Randall? What is his name?
The fire guy, the kid.
Yeah.
Man, Miguel, sorry everybody, we did not write down the names.
It's all right. But Deadpool kind of does this, and it's part of this whole fatherhood trope that we're seeing kind of play out in Hollywood these days. And like, you don't even have to go that far to look at it in our own podcast. Last week we did How It Ends. And as we talked about, How It Ends is very, very heavy-handed on this fatherhood trope. Mm-hmm. Or this transition into fatherhood, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's not parenthood, it's fatherhood. Now, this is, well, what I'm thinking is that Hollywood is really missing out on more than 50% of its audience base. I mean, there are more parents than just fathers. But granted, fathers, you know, traditionally have been the more absentee parent of a parenting, the heteronormative parenting traditional picture.
Yeah, because traditionally speaking, it's been a lot easier for parents to leave than for fathers to leave the family than it is for mothers to leave the family. And it's also more socially acceptable, which is very bizarre, but it's true. It's more socially acceptable for a father to leave a family than it is for a mom to just up and leave. Like, a father to up and leave, it's like almost understandable, but for a mother to up and leave, it's like a completely different story. But that's a different story, so sorry.
Yeah, and usually when you have fathers in a father role, they're kind of stupid and just bumbling. Best way is Fire Fist.
Yeah,
that's his name.
And that's not like the actual character's name, but that's the name he gives himself. Remember, because Deadpool makes fun of him for being called Fire Fist.
But fathers in pop culture have been this, and I know we've talked about this before too. I think we talked about this in Cargo, and we talked about it in other episodes. And we're doing a whole callback to our entire discography here for Deadpool 2.
Because we talk about like parenthood and fatherhood all the time. Yeah. It's like all the movies have been talking about.
This is what I'm saying. It's a Hollywood trope now.
Yep.
Where, you know, they're trying to move away from this idea of the bumbling idiot father, like Family Guy and Simpsons, to, you know, trying to display fathers as decent human beings. And I think this is one also, like, one, it's good. in that it should be calling fathers out. It should be saying, hey, there's a new way of doing things. You don't have to be this traditional, like, closed off, like, well, either bumbling idiot dad that's drinking all the time,
or like a closed off, like, too strict, always working all the time dad.
Yeah, the legalistic dad. That you can be, like, you can also be the
like
do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. Like
Deadpool and Logan. Don't be violent, or in Deadpool's case, don't be as snarky and cynical about life as I am, but instead embrace life, embrace your new family, kind of thing. And I get that, but there's also that point where I feel like it's dangerous. It's also discounting motherhood. It's discounting those stories that could be told. Where, like, I did like Deadpool 2, but like, the more videos that we watched on it, the more it kind of brought to light the kind of idea of the what is that one video called? The fridging.
Yep, the fridging of women. So
fridging of women, yeah.
That is what that means is, in order for a male protagonist to be motivated, a female character has to be killed off.
Yeah. And this calls back to Green Lantern comic book, where his girlfriend or wife, or whatever, was killed and put in a refrigerator. And so I think, this happened in Deadpool, and I think this happens throughout, it happens in Cargo.
Yep.
And it happens, almost kind of happens in How It Ends.
Yeah, well, because he still lost her.
Yeah.
She was still his motivation. She wasn't dead, but she could have been. We didn't know at the time.
Yeah, and they could have developed her character more. They did that. Like, they didn't develop any of the female characters in How It Ends.
Nope. In fact, there's more character development in Cargo when we see, because you actually see the mom, like, throughout a large chunk of the beginning of the movie in Cargo.
Yeah.
And you actually kind of have an idea of what she is as an actual person.
Yeah.
We kind of get
she gives her opinions, and she talks about more than just, their relationship. And it's about taking care of the daughter, and so, like, what's best for them all.
Exactly. Yeah. We kind of get some character development for Vanessa, but we get it in Deadpool 1. So unless you've seen Deadpool 1 recently, you might not have the same feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And she becomes kind of an Oracle-like character in this movie.
Yep. Which
I think it's dangerous, because it's like we're already treading... Hollywood's not had a good track record of their representation of women, of their writing women as fully developed characters in anything. Like, Domino really wasn't fully developed.
No, like, we kind of hear, like, she also had a troubled childhood. She also was in the
Essex house.
Thank you. She was also in that house. But we don't really know anything besides that.
Yeah.
Well,
that's not what we're talking about here, but saying that it's dangerous for Hollywood to continue on this trend, I think, because of that. I think that it's dangerous to discount the role of mothers and non-binary parents. And I think that it's good on one hand. It's good to call out fathers, because traditionally fathers have been pretty crappy. And I probably bring up the word father, and you probably have a ton of bad emotions that go along with that. A lot of us do. A lot of millennials do. And that's the whole reason why I had to work through this whole thing in college of trying to get rid of that image of God as father thing, because I didn't have a whole lot of good for my father. My father, I love him. Yes, he's my father, but he wasn't there. And so it's, for me, I'm trying to figure out how to be a father on my own, in my own way. And I think this is something that's good for me in these superhero films. But I also feel like I'm not the only fan of Marvel films. I'm not the only fan of superhero films. So, like, why are you going to continue to make movies for me?
Well, but also, too, like, the movies that they're making for you aren't showing what parenthood is like with a partner.
Yeah.
Which is, parenthood with a partner is different than parenthood being single.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say, like, when you're a single parent, you have to be both mom and the dad. Because that's still, when you say that, it's still classifying gender roles.
Yeah.
You know, which I still don't like. It's generally speaking, no matter who you are, whatever your sexual orientation is, no matter what your gender identity is, being a single parent by yourself is hard. It is. Because there's extra, just in general, there's extra workload. And we don't really see that in the Marvel movies, you know, like, because...
Yeah, like, Aunt May isn't developed all that well in Spider-Man Homecoming. Or in Civil War. Like, does he even appear in Age of Ultron? Or not Age of Ultron. Infinity War 1.
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing, is that even if Tony was doing this as being a surrogate father figure, there's no Uncle Ben there to give his famous line. There's no other kind of father figure for Peter Parker, and that's kind of what he's doing. And anyway, this whole trope, I think, is both good and bad in helping fathers, but also in non-parent and non-partnered parents. It's bad as well, not discounting the role of women as well. Yeah.
I mean, I like that they're trying to actually tell the world, hey, men can have more emotions, just being angry. But even then, like, what is their main motivation for a lot of these things? They're angry because their lover is dead, or their lover has been kidnapped, or their lover has been hurt somehow. So anger is still a big motivator.
Yep.
Even in these stories.
Which is why we had issues with Luke Cage.
Yes. Because, men also have feelings.
Men also have feelings besides anger.
Besides anger and being hungry.
No, they fridged the night nurse. They fridged Claire and Luke Cage. Oh my goodness.
Which also makes me mad because, sorry, I'm gonna.
We're on Deadpool because Deadpool is like Deadpool calls out to everything else, so we're gonna call out to everything else apparently. So.
Yep. So I do like that Hollywood is at least trying to expand, generally speaking, what male characters are supposed to do. However, they're still putting them in boxes, which is not helpful.
They're putting them in boxes, and they're focusing only on the men. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah.
Yep. That's it.
So, I think we found another flaw for the MCU. Besides the two-dimensional baddies.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So, the one main thing that I wanted to hold on to, because I feel like this kind of was played down a bit, but I want to give props to Deadpool for actually being a good example on what you should do in this circumstance. And that is, we need to give kids a chance to be better themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're kids. He, even after Cable, he comes down and tells him why he's trying to kill Fire Fist. Sorry, Fire Fist. I'm sorry.
It's a bad name.
It's such a bad name. But anyway.
There are so many X-Men that have, just horrid names.
Yes. Technically, Cyclops is a bad name. But anyway.
Yeah. It's like nobody was hurting themselves on coming up with that one. So.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, I was thinking of something else. But anyway.
Okay.
Never mind.
It's a family-friendly show, Gabby.
I'm trying to keep it family-friendly. Okay. So, he, after he heard the story, was like, Okay, but that's in the future. We are now, I guess, in the past. So we can still the kid hasn't done the bad thing yet. We can still stop the kid from doing the bad thing, from becoming a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
And Cable, being Cable, was dead set on, no, that's not true. Like, I have to kill this kid. Like, that's the only way around it. I have to kill him.
The single-minded focus on, he was very much like his other character. He was just moving from Thanos to Cable.
Yep, he's like, I have a goal. Hey, you know what? He'd be great at sales. You know, like, I have a goal in mind, and I'm going to pursue it, and I'm going to achieve it. Like,
exactly.
Which is not necessarily a bad trait to have, but in this circumstance, it is a bad trait to have.
Well, and Josh Brolin does do a good job of distinguishing between Thanos and Cable.
Yeah.
Like, Cable's a little bit more, like, has a sense of humor a little bit more than Thanos does.
Yeah. Well, and Thanos has a lot of other stuff going on. I mean, Cable...
You know, taking over the entire universe and all, you know.
Well, you know, sacrificing the one person he felt was as close to a daughter as he could have, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas is Cable, like, yeah, he still has a lot of emotions because to him, his family just died, and that still is, like, a huge motivator for him. His wife was also fridged.
Yep.
And, like, so I can understand, like, his one train thought of, like, no, I have to do this. Like, this is the only way, because just generally speaking, humans, when we are upset, when we feel like we have a solution to the problem and we're dead set on that, we tend to forget that there's other ways, other ways to go about it.
Yeah.
For example, when you are upset at, say, a store, and you go up to the customer service desk and you just yell and scream and curse out that poor girl at the customer service desk, that is not going to help anything. All you're going to do is make her upset and cry. When you could just go up to her, explain what the situation is, chances are you're probably going to get the solution to what you needed done a little bit faster.
Yeah, considering that, I think... What is that idiom? You catch more bees with honey than with vinegar?
Exactly.
Or flies,
yeah,
whatever it is.
Yeah. So what something Cable could have done is what he still could have gone into the past, but instead of just killing the kid, maybe he could have done what Deadpool suggested and like, hey, why don't we try to help him not kill this person? Like, why don't we try to help him be a better person?
Yeah.
You know? Because, what was his line? Like, he... about telling when somebody was had a bad life. I can't remember exactly what the line was.
Well, you just said you can always tell.
Oh yeah, you can always tell when it in reference to when a kid has been abused. That's what it is. So I think because Deadpool himself in the comics, we're not sure about his past as a kid in the movies, but in the comics, like he has been abused in the past. And it's kind of acknowledged in the movie as well, too. And I think that when you experience that in your life, it's a little bit easier to sympathize with somebody who also has gone and has been abused as well. But instead of going down the path you're going, they go off down the other fork and kind of become a not so helpful person in society. And it's really, I think Deadpool understands that it's really dangerous to write off kids that you consider to be bad or you consider to be a menace to society. Because when you go ahead and write them off, they take notice. They know.
Yeah.
You know, they really take it to heart when you tell them that they're a lost cause. Mm-hmm. And that there's nothing that they can do to put themselves in a better situation.
That was, the prime focus of my youth ministry was to really focus on the ones that needed the most help. Mm-hmm. And usually they were the toughest ones to kind of break through to. Some of them I didn't. And that was, I still feel guilty for that. I still feel guilty for not trying harder, for, feeling when that kid was just being a jerk to me and just feeling bad about, myself in that instance. But, on the other hand, you can only care so much. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, I do that was my main focus, was to be that, try to be that for some kids at least.
Yeah. Well, and I give kudos to those teachers who have been in the profession and still will see those kids who other teachers and other adults have written off as being lost causes, who they decide that they're going to take them under their wing and try to show them that they can be a better person and they can succeed.
Yep.
It's luckily I was never put into that situation to where somebody told me that I was a lost cause or somebody told me I wasn't good at something. Or maybe I was. The closest I can get to is like my parents just telling me I might as well not try in science because I wasn't very good. I think that was almost given me, this is what it is, that gave me permission to then not try. Because then I was like, oh, well, my parents already think that I'm not good at science, so why try?
Yeah.
So when you tell kids that they're a lost cause, why should they try?
They're not like me who, still when people tell me that I can't do something, that I'm going to be like, oh, I want to prove them wrong, that I can do it.
Oh, there's always people like that are out there too, but...
Yeah, the spiteful people like myself.
No, there's that side as well too, but you can't assume. It's better to err on the side of caution and not say those types of stuff to kids.
Yeah.
It's dangerous when you say that kind of stuff to kids because they're still like a sponge and they're going to pick up on it. So, I was actually kind of curious. I wanted to get like a real world example of like, does it really help to like give kids a great role model like Deadpool? No, I'm just kidding. To give kids a great role model, and does it really help? It clearly helped with Fire Fist's situation. Sorry, every time I say it,
Russell?
I can't remember. It might be Russell. I couldn't find his name. Like when I look at the cast list, it just is Fire Fist.
Yeah,
so I don't know. I'm sure we could find it out somewhere, but I just don't have enough time to look at that right now. But, so what was I talking about? I got lost in
real world examples.
Yes, real world examples. Okay. So one thing that I have always been kind of curious about, and I'm sure a lot of other people have heard about this organization as well too, is Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America. What they do is they group up kind of sort of at-risk kids. Like they might not necessarily be bad kids, but it could also be that maybe they just need, like their parents just need some extra help motivating them. Or maybe it could be that they are in a single parent household and so they just need that extra like parental support. Or sometimes kids just need an extra adult figure that they can actually talk to, that they know that they're not going to be like judged for what they're saying. Sometimes they just need that extra person, that they can actually be honest with. So
somebody who's outside the family that they're able to vent to, that they're able to kind of like get some empathy.
Yep.
As it were.
Yep. And so I was kind of looking at different studies. There's been studies that the group has done themselves. There's also been like outside groups doing studies. And every single one of them has found that this program really does add some value to the children's lives and does add value to society, actually. One of, what is it? Is it Russell?
It's Russell.
You're right. Good job, Miguel. Ding, ding, ding.
There we go.
Okay. So during one study, this was surveying the children at the beginning of joining the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and then also 18 months after they've joined. And the research showed that the kids were 46 less likely to begin using illegal drugs. They were 27% less likely to begin using alcohol. 52% less likely to skip school, which I think is a big one. 37% less likely to skip a class. And 33% less likely to hit somebody. And then also, too, they found that the littles, or like the kids aspect of Big Brothers, Big Sisters, like the little sisters and the little brothers, were more confident in their performance in schoolwork and got along better with the families as well, too, while they were in the program. So yeah, it really does benefit. So, maybe kids like Russell just need to have a better role model, like Deadpool.
I'm not so sure that Wade is going to be that good of a role model. But...
No. I'm sure that the X-Men will take care of Russell and,
Yes.
lead him in a better direction, better role models. Maybe Colossus will take him under his wing. But it just goes to show how, just one positive influence, just one, can really make a difference in a kid's life. And, that's why it's important to me, when I have heard adults bring down kids, I will swoop right in and I will just tell the kid, you're not a failure. This might be hard now, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be a failure in life. Just because you don't do this right doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. It's okay. It's all right.
We all reinvent ourselves.
Yeah.
And, some of us later in life than others, but, we all reinvent ourselves.
Heck, I really even don't like the idea of people saying you have to get a college degree in order to be successful and pushing kids to be outstanding in high school, practically wearing them out.
Yeah.
In order for them to get into college, which after college they may or may not get a job. It's
in
not
the field that they studied.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee anymore, or a job period. I mean, there's still a lot of people who are even my age that are out of the house because they can't get a decent job, but they have good degrees. So that's why the idea of trying to push kids into those larger career aspirations also isn't very helpful. They can still be successful as a mechanic. They can still be successful as, a general manager of McDonald's. That still is something that you can still have a living and be comfortable in.
Yeah.
So, I guess what I'm saying is we can't keep putting those high pressures on kids, because you can still be successful in life without being a PhD.
No, I in my new hire class for the day job that I have now, there were 18 and 19-year-olds in there. It kind of made me feel like, oh man, I am in a career now that I didn't have to have my college degree for. That these kids are lucky for getting the exact same job, and they didn't have to go into all that college debt for, and this is something that they can do for the rest of their lives. They can make a career out of it, and they would be able to live comfortably.
Yeah, they're lucky. They're absolutely lucky. And yeah, I don't know. Just don't be mean to kids. Don't push them into something they don't want to do, and just be a positive force. That's all really what Deadpool is trying to do. It's just be a positive force.
Maximum effort.
Maximum effort.
So these are the principles in the parable of Deadpool 2 that we pulled out, is that kids give us a chance to be better, and that we have a chance to be better than we were before. Not just as fathers, but as parents and as role models, as human beings for any other kid. And so that's why we also talked about we need to give kids a chance to be better, is to be better ourselves, but also allow them to be better as well by us being better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it all ties in together.
That's what role models are.
Yes. So we've got a lot that we're working on. We did just watch It.
Okay.
And gave us nightmares.
Still gives me nightmares.
Yeah.
Right now. I'm dreaming right now, and it's scaring me.
So we'll be talking about that next week. Just started Ozark Season 2. First episode was pretty good. We have finished Magician Season 2. Waiting on Kathy to finish off Book 3 before we talk about that. So we're giving ourselves time for that one. We did just start Castle Rock. It was a great first episode, I have to say, and we'll get into that more later. We still got a lot on our plates for things that we're going to be going through there. We will be taking an extended break this year at the end of the year from it's either going to be at the end of November or December. We're gonna be taking a break. That will be our season end break, and so we're just taking the chance to let you guys know because we've got a little bit of extra time right now. So if you have anything to say about today's episode or any of our previous episodes or what we should be doing for our future episodes, we would love to hear from you. We are on social media. You can find us on both Facebook and Twitter. We're both at Real Honest Faith for both of those. You can also give us a call or a text at 720-372-3879. Find us on our website at thehonestfaith.com or send us an email at honestfaithconvos@gmail.com. So, with all of that being said, we invite you to come and join the conversation.
Bye.